Welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls podcast, where liking what you like is never a bad thing. Here's your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday.
Hey y'all, I'm your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday. Welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls podcast. And welcome to our final episode of recapping and discussion of WandaVision, the surprise Marvel hit that I don't think any of us had any expectation was going to be so good. But hey, you know what? That's what Marvel's good at. They like to surprise us with all kinds of fun things. Just like they surprised us with all of these fan theories that we thought were going to happen, like, whatever, nothing happened. I guess there's a few things that maybe popped up, but Ashley, we were wrong about a lot.
I mean, technically, they weren't disproven either.
Well, that's true. That's true. I guess there's always more. There's always some time down the road for something to change or something to come through. And I am still hopeful. I'm going to say it. I am still hopeful that we see Keanu Reeves in the MCU sometime in the near future. It's got to happen,
yes,
right?
Please. I hope so.
Right. Okay, if you are new around here, if you haven't had a moment to leave a 5-star rating or a review, I would appreciate you doing so. It helps with the algorithms. It helps basically iTunes and whatnot, tell people that you like us and that other fangirls and fanguys might like us. And of course, it's no fun to fangirl alone. So we want to do that and make it easy for everybody. So if you have a chance, please do that. And I had to laugh. There was actually a recent review that said she was a fan of the whole NGU, the No Guilt universe. And I'm like, hey, I'm a universe now. Really made me laugh. And I appreciate that so much. All right, guys, Ashley's back. Ashley, tell them where they can find you. Tell them a little bit about you. And then let's just dive into this very emotional episode and finale and go from there.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Ashley. You can find me on my site at withashleyandco.com, on Twitter at thatashleyaaron, at cbr.com, and on my podcast, The Geek Girls Universe.
All right. Oh, and you can also find her on Twitter every Monday, #Marvel Mondays, right?
Yes, where we break down the latest Marvel news. So obviously it's been very WandaVision focused, but it's a great way to discuss theories with other fans and kind of just vent about whatever you need to vent about.
Always a good place. Always a good place. All right. All right. Let's talk about this. And basically, if you're new and you're just jumping into the finale discussion, that's kind of weird. So go back and listen to the other ones first and come back and listen to the finale. But you know what? I'm also not going to judge because I like spoilers and I like to read the end of a book. Yeah, I do that. So I start reading a book and if I'm into it, I flip to the end to see how it ends. Anybody else do that?
Yeah, not me.
Yeah, I don't feel like that would be something you would do, but I do it. And I don't know why, but I do. Anywho, so yeah, you know what? I kind of get it. So if you are just jumping in because you want to hear about finale talk, then cool. Let's have that convo. And if not, there are other episodes for you to go back and listen to. So please go back and take a listen. And you can also laugh hilariously as Ashley and I said, oh, you know what's going to happen? I bet this is going to happen. And then womp, it didn't happen. Not all the time, though. You were right about a couple of things, and that all played out. But there were absolutely some times that we were just way off, or it just hasn't happened yet, as you are noting. So I'm going to let Ashley take it from here. She is going to start the recap and the rundown of this episode, and we'll fill in some thoughts. And yeah, let's do this.
All right. Well, this was called the series finale because it is, in fact, the series finale. Sad face, but...
Yeah. And for those that were hoping there would be more episodes, there's not. This was it.
Nope. This is it. And honestly, it makes sense. This is not the kind of show to run more than a season. So I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I also felt like this was like a complete series. Like we got the full we got a full story. We got a full movie, honestly, out of the whole WandaVision experience. So I was just very satisfied with how they were able to wrap things up, even though we still are left with a lot of questions and we still want more stuff to come out of it. I think that's on us as fans. Like, we created that. That wasn't necessarily something that Marvel was pushing it, right? But I think that's life as a Marvel fangirl. Like, this is what we do.
Yes, it is definitely what we do. I mean, we got basically 2-ish movies out of this show based on runtimes. So,
Yep.
You know, it's good. All right. So this week started off where last week ended, with Agatha and Wanda having a standoff in the street. Wanda can use her powers out here because she's not in Agatha's creepy basement anymore. However, Agatha was banking on that. She wants to absorb Wanda's power like she did with her coven. So as Wanda starts to shoot her power at her, you see Wanda's hands start to turn black as Agatha kind of just sucks it all in. And she's like, yes, I want all your power. But she still has Wanda's kids, and you do not mess with a mama bear or a mama mutant and her kids. So Wanda, instead of hitting Agatha, does a hilarious Wizard of Oz type callback and hits her with a car. Literally drops a car on her instead of dropping a house on her. And you even see like the boots underneath the car. It was very Wicked Witch of the East when she dies. However, she doesn't simply curl up and disappear. She just reappears outside, but still hilarious, especially after that one scene. You had the bike, and I was like, "Oh, Wicked Witch of the West."
Oh yeah, no. That was good. They did a nice little callback, a little tie-in with that. So I love Wizard of Oz so much. When I was a kid, I was Dorothy like 3 years in a row for Halloween. So, anywho, all right. So we got that in there, and then what happens?
So White Vision shows up, and we in the audience are like, "Okay, this isn't good." But Wanda is just kind of shocked, I guess, flabbergasted. She's like, Vision, is that you? And he gets close enough to her because, of course, she's just like, what's happening? And then he starts to try to crush her like skull, because his directive essentially is to take her and Vision out per Hayward and Sword. But Vision, the real Vision appears, or Wanda's Vision appears, and takes him out. Thank goodness. Meanwhile, Hayward has arrested Wu. But you cannot arrest a magician. Come on. That's what, like 101, like school? Like, come on now.
I was laughing so hard when I saw him do that. I'm like, all right, they're sticking with those deep cuts. Good job, Wu.
Yes. So card tricks aren't the only things Jimmy Woo has been practicing since we last saw him. He has also learned to bluff, as he tells Hayward, oh, well, my FBI guys will be here within the hour. 2, he uses sleight of hand to pick up a cell phone that no one notices him grabbing. And 3, he gets out of his handcuffs. Because again, you can't put a magician in handcuffs. Come on now. He then calls the FBI because he was totally bluffing. And he's like, so hey, Cliff, yeah, can you guys get here within the hour? That'd be great. And I have a theory on Cliff. It might be wrong, as we've seen the red herrings, but there is a Cliff in the comic books who could tie into Secret Invasion. I'm just putting that out there.
This is the kind of nerdiness that I am here for, because I don't know anything about Secret Invasion except fast forward to the end of this episode. We'll get to that in a little bit. So that's interesting that you think there could be a tie into that, and you just earned your spot on this free podcast. So appreciate that, Ashley. All right, heads up. Everybody, you heard it here first. Ashley's gotten a tip that there could be some Secret Invasion tie back to Cliff. Okay, go for it. Keep going.
Yes. Okay. So Cliff could be Cliff Randall, who is part of an alien race in the comics called the Collective Intelligence, which they could easily retcon and make him a Skrull. We do know that Wu knows about the Skrulls because, after all, that was on his whiteboard. And we're like, hey, wait a second. How does Wu know?
That's true.
Just saying.
That's true.
So in the comics, some of the Collective, they end up on Earth because they're escaping a doomsday device on their own planet. Some of the Collective choose to stay hidden, while others, including Cliff, disguise themselves as humans, something we have seen the Skrulls do. Also, hello, fast forward to the end, Dun, 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 dun. Cliff ends up working with S.H.I.E.L.D., or it could be the new sword, and helps to defend Earth when some of the collective decides they want to destroy it in order to get home. All of this could tie into Secret Invasion, which we know is coming, right? Just saying. Again, with the names. See, Marvel, they threw out a lot of red herrings in this show, for sure. But name choices are important.
No, they are.
They could have picked any name. Right. They could have picked any name.
I'm still with you on that a lot of this does matter. So, yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe I think they still put them in on purpose, even if Cliff isn't going to necessarily be in Secret Invasion. I almost feel like at this point, Marvel puts in extra stuff in case they ever need to go back and pull it out and reuse it to tell a different story farther down the line. So even if we don't see Cliff show up in the Secret Invasion show that is coming to Disney Plus, right? That's coming to Disney Plus too, right? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not saying that wrong. Even if he doesn't show up there and then, what if he shows up like in Captain Marvel 2? Or what if he, you know what I'm saying? Like there's other places that they could use that source material and tap into. And so I am convinced that the geniuses over there at Marvel are just so good at this. And honestly, you know, it's kind of like what we talked about, 2 episodes ago, maybe it was. I wish I was privy to. I wish I was Kevin Feige's BFF. I'll admit it for a variety of reasons.
That'd be so
for
cool.
a variety of reasons. He's a very cool dude, but I really wish I was, because I feel like he would sit around one day and he'd just like have a beer with you and just chit chat about something, and he'd let some secrets out on their thought processes. And like when we talked about the backstory of Vision and Wanda, when I watched all of these movies that Vision and Wanda have been in over the years, I was always like, oh, they're fine. You know, I mean, nothing like stoked my fires or got me excited. I had absolutely, I won't say zero interest, but they were not in my like top 5. Can we get a spinoff with Vision or Wanda in it? You know, request, right?
Right.
But then WandaVision came around and they told this story so masterfully, but they went back into that those older cuts, and they kind of pointed out to us and said, here, Patty, I'm going to explain to you why you watched those scenes of Wanda and Vision back in all these other movies and why that matters to you now. It's, you know, it's just, again, one of those things that I didn't realize what I was watching back then, but now here, you know, 5 years later, I get to see it all and go, oh, I see. And I'm just convinced. I mean, obviously it's not an accident. They are that good. I really just think they are that good. And if it's not an accident, they're just at least smart enough storytellers to like add stuff in that they might be able to want to go back and use later. Even if they don't, it's there, right? You know, and I mean,
right.
Even things like Darcy Lewis showing up in this storyline. She didn't have to be there. Like she had no, you know, we know her as connection to Thor. Mm-hmm. Thor was nowhere in this, in this whole show, the pity. But there was Darcy and she steals the show. Right. And she was just so great. And yeah, I just, anyway, so yes, that's my, that's kind of my philosophy on this is that tell me everything that you think could come up later, just so I can say, I remember when Ashley said, because I think that if they're not building it in for a purpose to be used, like in the next thing we watch, it might be 5 things down the road that we watch, but I'll be able to go, oh, I knew that was coming.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I am about the theories that were neither proven nor disproven. I think when we get more series and we get more movies, that we'll be able to look back at WandaVision in that context and be like, yes, that's where the seed started. And I told you so, you know, like that's where it started. And it didn't bloom until, you know, a year or 2 down the road. And you're like, oh, that's where it came from.
For sure.
So I'm totally with you on that. They definitely do things so that they can either use it immediately or use it later on. Mm-hmm. And speaking of using something, Agatha has the Darkhold. She confirms it's the Darkhold, which is something that we kind of have been theorizing. It does look different than its previous outings in Runaways and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Do you?
Which that's a discussion.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to go too far off topic here, but do we think it's the same thing, or do we think they're still kind of keeping things totally separate? Kind of in my heart of hearts, I want them to pull some of the agent stories in, just like the example that I just gave. Like that's what they're finally like righting the wrongs of pulling in some of these Marvel shows into the MCU. But it would have been so easy for them to use the same book, and they didn't. Like that's also a choice, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. Where my personal standpoint on it is that the other two shows technically aren't in canon. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. definitely has canon moments, especially the beginning seasons, but then it kind of strayed. And none of the other Marvel shows have ever been, included in the canon. What I think is going to happen with these shows and maybe the movies as well is kind of like what The Mandalorian is doing, where it's taking aspects of things that weren't canon and making it canon, but not the entire thing. So I think that this is the real Darkhold, and whatever was being used in the other two shows is not going to be canon. It's not going to be the Darkhold. So that's my thought on that. But yes, this is the Darkhold. It is the book of the, well, I don't know if I can say that. It's a
book of the darned.
Semi-naughty word. Yeah. Of the darned. It contains a whole chapter about the Scarlet Witch with some very interesting facts. Fact number 1, her power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme. That's pretty powerful. Yeah. And fact number 2, she is destined to destroy the world.
Yikes.
That's a pretty big statement.
Yep.
And no doubt, obviously, this will play into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. However, Wanda is still very much a hero. She doesn't want to destroy the world. We see her in this episode, Agatha, basically cuts the strings, as she calls it, off of the meat puppets, which made me laugh.
Yep.
They're your meat puppets. I just cut the strings. And when Wanda realized what had been going on in the town, she didn't realize the pain she was causing the town people, because she didn't do any of this on purpose. As we saw, this whole hex and vision, it all came out of her grief. She didn't actively go, all right, I'm going to mind control this entire place. And once she realizes what's happening, she's horrified by it. She feels awful. Pietro has Monica in his man cave, and we learned that he is the elusive Ralph that Agatha has referred to.
As her husband, and
as his name is Ralph Boner. And he's being controlled by the necklace that he wears around his neck. Now, I know a lot of people were disappointed that he wasn't actually Pietro or Peter Maximoff or some multiverse version of Quicksilver. He looked like a Jersey Shore reject, personally.
Oh, totally.
In this episode, like he went to audition and MTV was like, nah, I don't want you here. I don't know if we'll see him again. I think there might be more to him. I still don't believe they're going to bring him in as Quicksilver, because that's not our Quicksilver.
Right.
Sorry, Fox people, but it's not. Billy and Tommy have been hiding out at home because Wanda told them to go home as soon as she dropped that car on Agatha. But Billy knows that something's wrong. So being children, they opt not to listen and decide to go help their mom, because that's what kids do, right?
That's right.
Like, oh, stay away from danger, but I'd rather run towards it. And like I said, Wanda has now realized she's hurting all these people, so she's using her power to open the hex. Unfortunately, by opening it up to let people out, she also allows Hayward and Sword to get in. As the hex is coming down, Vision and Tommy and Billy start to kind of fall apart because they are attached to the hex, which Agatha points out. She's like, one can't exist without the other, because that's how you made this, Wanda. And of course, that's like heartbreaking, right? You're seeing your spouse and your children basically disintegrate with the hex. So she brings it back together And that's when we have our Avengers Assemble / The Incredibles Assemble moment where White Vision, Agatha, and Sword all show up and circle the family. So WandaVision and the boys are like, all right, let's do this. And, you know, when you have superhero kids, you just like, hey, go fight the military. It's totally fine.
Yeah, that was so cute. Kids, go take care of the military. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, we haven't trained you for this, but we're pretty sure you'll be fine. So just go take out the tanks and all that stuff. Vision obviously is going to take out White Vision. Wanda goes after Agatha, and then yes, the boys go around, and Billy kind of grabs their minds. Tommy speeds around, taking hats and sunglasses. They high-five each other. It was a really cute moment until Hayward, being the complete, you know, beep, beep, beep that he is, attempts to shoot them. Who shoots children?
Seriously, that was hardcore. Yeah, come on, man.
So Monica steps in, and with her powers, the bullets just kind of pass through her and then just land on the ground.
Yeah, I love this. How, like, Monica's powers they're just a thing. Like, nobody's questioning it. Nobody's commenting on it. Nobody's asking her about it. Like, she just does cool stuff, and everyone's like, "Whoa, I like your style, lady. Yeah, cool." So yeah, that was, so here we go. Like, obviously, what did I say? That we were going to have some setups for Captain Marvel too? Boom. Like, hello, y'all. Yep, there it is right there. All right. Oh, and Multiverse of Madness with the Darkhold, and more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yep. And Secret Invasion.
Boom. Yep, and Secret Invasion. Yep. So all
the upcoming
they definitely are kicking things up and getting us excited for what's prepping us for what's to come. So for sure.
Right. And so one of the bullets does get past Monica, but Billy stops it. And I loved Billy and Monica, because kind of like you said, we're all just like, wow, Monica's just so cool. Billy's like, hey, I like your tricks. And she's like, I like yours too. And I'm like, I like them too at home. I'm like, yay. And then Hayward tries to run because, you know, not only is he a, you know, word that we don't say on this podcast, but he's also a coward. Yep. And he's like, I'm getting out of here. I tried to shoot children, and I'm going to get arrested. And Darcy comes in and tells him to have fun in prison as she slams her funnel cake car.
So last episode, we were talking about how we wanted Wu to punch him. Look, they gave us even better. They gave Dr. Darcy coming in with that ice cream truck, just smashing into him and telling him to have fun in prison. And it was epic. Now, here's my only complaint about this episode is that was it. That was all the Darcy we got. And I'm sorry, we deserve more Darcy. Yeah. We needed more Dr. Darcy. I don't know what I wanted her to do or wanted to see from her, because at the end, they basically said that she bounced out because debriefs are for Trumps or something like that. Totally made sense. Like, that's a very Darcy thing, and I get it. But I just loved her in this. Well, I loved her in all the movies, but definitely loved her in this show. So I do feel a little bit like we were ripped off a little bit by not getting more Darcy in this final episode. But what she gave us had a definite impact. See what I did there? Okay, so Darcy comes in. She punches, metaphorically, Hayward and takes him out. And then what happens?
Yep. So then we go and we see the Vision versus White Vision battle. White Vision has told Vision he's there to destroy the Vision. But Vision beats him through logic because they're both very logical, computers essentially. And how do you beat a computer? You overwhelm its logic circuits. So Vision is able to get through to him by using the philosophical debate, which I learned about in college, which I thought was hilarious as I was sitting there going, I know this one. It's about the ship of Theseus, and it's a thought experiment that raises the question of whether an object that has had all of its components replaced remains fundamentally the same object. This paradox essentially parallels what has happened to Vision, and they come to the conclusion that they are both, in fact, Vision. And upon that realization, White Vision kind of searches through his database a bit, and he realizes that he was meant to be a weapon that was more easily controlled because, again, Hayward is a bad guy. Project Cataract. Vision with a moment of, which I thought was beautiful. He says, may I? The consent factor I love to see. Vision unlocks White Vision's memories, which are essentially kind of like what he did with Ultron. So it's that Jarvis yellow, like going out in that chip that's in his head. And it floods back Vision's memories to the point where he died in Avengers Infinity War. So he doesn't have any of this Vision's memories from Westview and Wanda and the kids, but he's got the whole backstory. And he leaves, which a lot of people were like, what? Why did he leave? But I think it would have detracted from the beautiful goodbye that happens in this episode. It would have detracted from just the overwhelming sense of loss and love to have the extra Vision kind of like floating off in the side, like, hey, I'm over here.
Yeah, I don't know that they. Yeah, I know. I agree. I think as awkward or weird or whatever it was that he left, having him stick around would have been worse. So I agree that he needed to do what he had to do, which was bounce on out of there. So
yeah, I mean, maybe he's off to kind of find himself, you know what I mean? Like a midlife crisis for a robot. But I think we'll see him again. And I think that's why Vision says something similar to her when they say their goodbye about how we don't know what the future holds for us kind of thing.
I really liked this quote unquote battle between the two Visions because it was also very Vision. You know what I'm saying? Like it was very,
yes, it was.
Very in true form as to what this character and what their like in WandaVision, we got to see such a more humanized version of Vision, but you got to remember, he's always been this very analytical, very computer-ish, kind of guy. And I liked how they were able to kind of marry the two and bring it all back. And the way that what I took from the end of it is that like the complete Vision is back. He's gone. I mean, he took off and he went off to do whatever he's going to do, whatever that is, which I guess in this version of events is he realized he didn't want to be used. Again, he doesn't want to be used as this weapon. And so he's removing himself from anybody's ability to do such a thing. And so he's peacing out. Right. But so I definitely feel like obviously we're going to get more Vision at some point. At what point? I don't know. Multiverse of Madness. I don't know. Because we'll get to that in a little bit. I just felt like that was our complete Vision, like taking off. And the one that was left was still that emotional, still that personal. But it also made it okay for me. Remember how I said, I don't want them to kill off Vision yet again. Like, I can't take it anymore. Right. I don't feel like that happened, even though it is what happened, but I don't feel like it happened. Does that make any sense? Like, emotionally, I felt like there was Vision was still okay. He's still out there. We're going to get him back at some point. So I was okay with the way they said goodbye. And and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So,
yes. So after White Vision leaves, Wanda kind of, it was very Age of Ultron, how she kind of snuck up on Agatha and did the mind powers on her to transport them to Agatha's nightmare. And Agatha's nightmare happens to be the night that she took out her entire coven, including her mother. Wanda reanimates the witches in a very like zombie, Marvel zombies, like creepy moment, thinking that they're going to, take out Agatha, get their revenge. But however, they sense what she is and they turn on her instead because she's the Scarlet Witch. She's too powerful. They bound her to the pole and her headdress begins to appear on her head. And I was like freaking out because I'm like, yes, we're going to get the costume reveal soon.
I know.
Which is totally so cool when it happens.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Agatha promises her that she'll fix the spell, allowing her to live her life with her family. Wanda breaks free of all this power and shoots them into the sky of Westview, where they begin to fight. Agatha again's like, give me all your power. And Wanda's just like, take it. I don't want it. Just take it. Like I think she's tired. Mm-hmm. We kind of have been seeing that in the last several episodes. She's just tired. She just wants her family. She just wants to be happy. and she's tired of all the fighting. I mean, she's literally been surrounded by it since she was a little kid. But she does show that she's also learned a few things too. She put up runes inside the hex to nullify Agatha, which was like checkmate. And then she manages to take back all of her power and then some. And she transforms into the Scarlet Witch, complete with new fierce outfit. Oh, I can't wait. It's so, like, I want to Disney bound as it. It's so good.
It's
so good
really good. Yeah, it was really hot. They did a good job with this one. Yeah.
Yes. It's kind of a it's a take on her Uncanny Avengers. If you look at those comics, it's a take on that outfit. And I love it. I love that they gave her the headdress tiara. A lot of people didn't think that they would do that, but they did, and it looks good.
It does. It looks really good on her.
I was cheering. I was so happy. And thank the, maker. I know that's a Star Wars reference, but Agatha's not dead. Wanda takes her powers from her, transforms her back into the role she chose, the nosy neighbor, and lets her live out her life in Westview. But Agatha's like, you have no idea what you've unleashed. You're going to need me. And Wanda says, if I need you, I know where to find you. And she leaves her there. But I'm just so happy she's not dead because I love Catherine Hahn in this role. And I want to see her again.
Oh, totally.
I'm just, please. And then we get to the beautifully devastating goodbye that we knew was coming. Because Wanda realizes, her and Vision both realize they can't do this. It's affecting too many people and they have to say goodbye. And they're both well aware of what that means. And putting the boys to bed. Once I saw what was happening, I was like, oh, they're putting them to bed to say goodnight and goodbye. And I was just broken.
Oh, it was awful. That was the worst. I mean,
so sad.
As a mom, I was just like, ugh. It reminded me of the other like awful moment for old school people like me, watching the Titanic when the mom, basically knows she can't get out and there's no way to save her kids. And so she tucks them into bed down in their berth down below in the bunks. And she's like telling them a story or singing them a song or something anyway. And she's like basically putting them to sleep as the waters are about to rush in and kill them all. It's awful. I felt the same thing. And I really like the moment that had me catching my throat was as Wanda and Vision are walking out the door and they're shutting the door and you see the red like creep around the windows. And it's just like, it's coming. Like, it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause the hex started at the house. So you knew that's where it was going to end. But they're telling them that they're proud of them. Family is forever. We couldn't leave each other if we tried. I think that Billy and Tommy both knew what was happening too. Like Billy for sure, because again, he's got Wanda's abilities. Yeah. And I think he and his brother had that conversation. And just for them to also be mature enough to know that this was the end for them too. It was just, it was brutal. And then she's like, thanks for choosing me to be your mom. I'm like, oh, why are you doing this to me, Marvel?
Because they're jerks.
Why?
They're jerks. They love to torture us.
For sure. And this episode did torture us. Then, she's turning off the lights. I think she just wants to like it to be over. But Vision, again, with these like really sweet moments between them, he turns on the light. He wants to say goodbye to her. And he does ask her to explain what exactly he is. And she tells him he is the part of the Mind Stone that lives within her. He is her sadness and her hope, but mostly he is her love. And he tells her, I was a voice without a body. I was a body, but not human. And now I'm a memory made real. We've said goodbye before, and yet we still seem to find each other. And, he knows the other visions out there. She does not. So I think, he goes, it stands to reason. There's that logic. It stands to reason, based on probability that we'll find each other again. And it was just beautiful. He disappears and she's just left standing in the middle of the house's foundation where it all started. she says goodbye to Monica, who tells her that she completely understands. You know, she's like, if I had that power to do that, I'd bring my mom back.
And I loved
that.
I loved it. I loved how like they're basically making it clear. Like she had no judgment. She's just like, I get it, girl. Like I miss my mom to that level as well. And I really liked that moment between the two of them, having that discussion.
I did
so much grief and so much power. And between the two of them, two very powerful folks here, who lost a lot, right? And yeah, I really like that one.
I hope to see them team up in the future because I love the friendship. I think they could have a great friendship if Wanda will let her in to be a friend. So Wanda leaves, telling her, you know, I'm gonna just go figure what this power is. Like I need to figure it out, and I'm just gonna go away. And that was the credits. Then we get into the post-credit scene. So the first one shows Wu assuming control of the Westview cleanup. Hayward's in custody. As you mentioned, Darcy is not there because debriefs are for the week. And I don't blame her. I hate like drawn out meetings too, so I probably would have bounced.
Oh man, if you get the opportunity, yeah, no doubt.
Yes. I bet you it's one of those. This could have been an email, you know, kind of meeting. But we see an FBI agent walk up and tell Monica that they have a message for her in the theater. They walk in, you don't see anybody. You're like, what's going to happen? Is somebody going to come out from behind the curtain? What's going on? But it's actually the agent. She's a Skrull.
Dun, dun, dun.
And she says, she says, I was sent by an old friend of your mother's. He heard you've been grounded and he'd like to meet with you. Monica asks where. The Skrull simply points upward, and we all freaked out because we presume that they're referring to Nick Fury.
All right, thank you. I was going with Nick Fury. All right, I was sitting there going, please don't tell me it's just the Skrull guy. Like, I don't care about him at this point. I want it to be Nick.
I like Taylor.
No, I do. But I mean, you know how I feel about Nick Fury, how I love Samuel L. Jackson. I just absolutely adore him. And so, yeah, that was what I was hoping you were going to say, is that was your indication as well. Because I was like, it's Fury, right? Yes. Like, I'm not crazy. All right, cool. Yay. Because sometimes I just want things to happen so badly, you know?
I mean, while it could be Talos, I feel like it's Fury. The last we saw of him was at the end of Far From Home. He was in space with the Skrulls. So I'm just saying, I think it's Fury. And we know Fury's in Secret Invasion. Yep. So I think this post-credit scene tied in more to Secret Invasion than it did Captain Marvel.
Yeah, yep. No, I agree. Yep.
So I'm excited. Bring back Nick Fury, please. Also, Talos, and please, like, is the cat somewhere? Like, where is Goose? Because I also love me some Flerken. And then the final post-credit scene. Wanda has secluded herself away from the world. She is in this mountain cabin, which to me could be her mountain home from the comic books.
Okay.
Wandagore, where she was born. And it's also the same place where Chthon wrote the book, The Darkhold, and the cult of the Darkhold gathered to honor him. Just putting that little tidbit out there. And so we see her, she's just sitting there, she's making tea, but in true Doctor Strange form, and if you're listening carefully, you can hear Doctor Strange's theme, her spectral version is reading the Darkhold, but her spectral version is the Scarlet Witch, not just like a Mom Jean's kind of specter, you know, her specter is all out and like ready. She's poring over the Darkhold, assuming she's just trying to gain whatever information she can about her powers. And she's interrupted by cries for help from her sons. Now remember, she thought they ceased to exist with the Hex. However, it seems somewhere in the multiverse they are alive. And Lord, help whomever has them trapped, because she is coming for them.
And so when I saw this scene, that's also why I was like, all right, Mama's going to go get her kids. And then that's also, I think somehow, some way, Vision is going to come back and step in if she's going like if she's getting out of control, right? The only person who can like talk her back down, who has a shot of it, would possibly be Vision. So that's why I am hopeful, or kind of half expecting him to show up as well in Multiverse of Madness. But again, maybe not. Maybe she handles this just fine on her own. Also, like, it's been talked about as like it's the second Doctor Strange movie, but something that made me like really think about this is Multiverse of Madness, MOM.
Yes, you texted me that, and I didn't even put that together.
See, look at me. Yeah. So what is this, Mom? Is there a bigger meaning to that? Am I again just making things up and projecting? Probably. But you know what? I'm going to roll with it. But I feel like also this end credit scene like leads a little bit of obviously she's going to go get her kids. That's going to be the problem. And we had already talked about that. We felt like we knew Wanda was going to be in Multiverse of Madness, and we're assuming that she's actually going to be going against Doctor Strange for a period of time in that movie, because she's the Scarlet Witch now, right? And now we know what her motivation is, and her motivation is clearly to get her kids back. I love it. I'm so excited.
I kind of thought she might seek out Strange for his help to find her kids, because he knows more about the multiverses and like time traveling and stuff. And it also ties in a bit. I think we're going to see a little Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumonium as well, because we know Kang is involved with that, and he definitely can go between realms and time periods and zones and stuff like that. So yeah, it's crazy because WandaVision wasn't originally the first Phase 4 offering. It was supposed to be Black Widow. And now after seeing WandaVision, I'm like, how could it have ever not been the first thing of Phase 4? I'm so excited for Phase 4 and this new era of like where we're going with Marvel. I can't wait. And now we get Falcon and the Winter Soldier next week. We're going to get Black Widow. We got Loki. I'm just like, yes, give me all the Marvel.
Yeah. I have to admit that when Endgame was wrapping up and such, because I don't have the comic book history, all I know are the MCU folks. I kept wondering, like, how am I going to connect to anybody in the next phases? Like, how is this going to like carry on? Am I going to continue to love Marvel? And if WandaVision is my first, hit of Phase 4 and where we're going, I'm even more all in than I ever was before, which I find like impossible to admit that. But I definitely love this vibe. I love what they did with the storytelling. I love what they did with setting us up for the future. Are you assuming, as most of the people out there on the interwebs are assuming, that we are going to get at some point an unannounced Young Avengers coming out of this, starring Billy and Tommy, as well as others that we have obviously coming along down the pipe? I'm excited about that. I think that could be a lot of fun. So yeah, I love this ride that we're on, and I will keep riding it until I can. Oh, and I just got my second COVID vaccine. So my booty will be in the theater watching Black Widow. when that baby comes out on the big screen, I am going to be watching it and soaking it all in on the biggest screen that I can find. I cannot wait. But yeah, I'm ready for all that. And that is an interesting point to make, is that originally it was a year ago, like May 1st, 2020, I think is when we were supposed to get Black Widow. Yeah. And obviously that got pushed back, and that got completely changed, and then pushed back again and again and again. Now I'm even more curious if they made any changes, if they made any edits, or if that movie was complete and they kept it complete, but it was just a standalone, like they were able to switch the release schedules without any problem, or did they make any changes? I don't remember seeing anything about reshoots or anything like that. So I'm guessing they were just able to make it work. I don't know.
No, I think what I saw, it was specific to the shows, but I believe it was Kevin who said that it didn't necessarily matter the order they were released. I would think that if they did anything, maybe they changed up a post credit, like pulled it from Black Widow and put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Took somebody else's post credit and put it with hers, because I'm trying to think of what her movie could tie into, and to me, it's closer to Falcon and Winter Soldier than it would be Loki, but we'll see.
Yeah,
you know?
we'll see. We shall. All right.
We shall see.
Well, Ashley, it's been fun. And
it's been a blast.
We are going to do this again with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes. Okay, cool.
Yes.
And that, for anybody that is not aware, comes out on March 19th. So you got like a week to go back and rewatch all the WandaVision you want, or to catch up on Marvel movies in order, or whatever it is that you need to do before we're going to start it over again with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And if you are looking for a good, like, who's Bucky, who's Falcon, I've got that for you. I've got it on my website. I've got a whole little snippet of what you should watch if you need to catch up on these characters before the first episode drops on the 19th. So I'll put that link in show notes. Be sure to check it out. And as always, come back and fangirl with us, because you know it is no fun to fangirl Marvel alone. Bye, y'all.
Bye.